My name is Karen Ruckman. I'm a resident of Westridge. We bought our house in 2005. We were aware of the marine terminal here just by sight, and it made us certainly uncomfortable, but our fears were allayed because there's so many people around here. There's such density of population, and we never heard any history of anything bad going on. So we thought, having trust in our government and our society, that it should be totally fine. I was at work up at SFU. My sister's family was in town that day, and so they were taking care of our son. At that point in time, we just had one child, and they were making forts in the living room when I think it was an RCMP officer that came banging on everybody's door to say, "Get out, there's been an oil spill, you have to excavate right now." I remember the next day opening up curtains and getting a strong whiff of oil just from our curtains. It just comes in and it settles in your house, into the fabrics, onto the walls and everything. And at our house, that day, we were lucky in particular because the breeze that was blowing that day was coming from the south. So it didn't carry the spray to our house. We didn't get any direct spray, but we definitely got the fumes and the odor and the exposure. Our neighbors 2 doors over, closer to the spill, they actually got some direct spray on their house. When you have exposure like this, it's affected us on a number of different levels, in terms of how we feel about our government, putting us at risk, but also in terms of lingering doubts about our own health, in particular for my son, who's now about to turn 11 years old this summer. He was a fetus. I was 34 weeks pregnant with him, and I always have it in the back of my mind that the exposure that he suffered at a critical stage of development, they have a lot of lung development at that time. There's no way to say for sure, but I always have it in the back of my head that he has trouble in school, and he has issues with pre-asthma, and he has issues with his skin, and also he has issues with eating food as well. And any of these things are not uncommon, right? And so there's no way to draw a direct line between the exposure that he suffered when he was in my belly and the way that he is now. But in the back of my mind, I always worry about it. So that's a big issue. I'd say the other problem that we have is having confidence in our government to put us at this risk. It's fundamentally wrong to have infrastructure like that carrying toxic resources, flammable resources, so close to densely populated urban areas. It was the Trans Mountain Pipe was put there when there was no development around here whatsoever 60 years ago. And now things have changed, right? The city has grown around it. And not only the communities that we have around it, but also SFU. It's absurd that the only 2 access roads that go up and down from SFU surround the tank farm. If there's some sort of fire, there's tens of thousands of people up there every day. The plan for them, the Kinder Morgan's plan for them, is to hunker down in place. The whole Forest Grove area is a very sleepy neighborhood full of families with an elementary school 300 meters away from the tank farm. This is fundamentally wrong to put people at this sort of risk. And using the justification that the pipeline is already there is totally faulty. That makes absolutely no sense. If we continue to use, decisions that we made in the 1950s, just because we made them in the 1950s, it makes absolutely no sense. If we use that logic, we would still be, feeding our babies formula. We would still have residential schools. We would still have segregation. We know better now. Okay, so we had the pipeline put in the 1950s. It was a different era. We know much more now. The fact that it's there still doesn't make it right, and we certainly shouldn't be expanding it just because it's there right now.